Hello and welcome. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Tonight, President Buhari promises to ensure the release of the remaining Dapchi schoolgirls in Boko Haram captivity, vows to protect all Nigerians, irrespective of faith or ethnicity. Federal government holds expanded National Economic Council meeting, reaffirms resolve to harness the creativity of young Nigerians towards addressing the country's developmental challenges. Ahead of the 2019 general elections, former President Olusegun Obasanjo challenges Nigerian women to fight for a place in the country's political space. And President Donald Trump to impose tariffs on about $50 billion in Chinese goods and limit the country's investment in the U.S. for alleged years of intellectual property theft.
On Business News tonight, Senate confirms nomination of Aisha Ahmed and Edward Adamu as deputy governors of the Central Bank of Nigeria and 3 members of the Monetary Policy Committee.
On sports news, the International Association of Athletics Federation approves Asaba in Delta State as one of its venues for the Diamond League from July this year.
And from Abuja, a celebrated hearing of former National Security Advisor Colonel Sambo Dasuki's money laundering trial gets underway as court fixes May 2nd and 3rd for definite trial.
Residents of Dapchi in Yobe State, northeast Nigeria, today offered prayers for the 5 girls that died in Boko Haram captivity. The parents who prayed for the repose of the souls of the students also called for unconditional release of the girls still held hostage on religious grounds.
The release of the Dapchi students by Boko Haram certainly brought back joy into the community. But sadly, that happiness was not felt by all. This is because out of the 110 students abducted, 5 lost their lives, while 1 is still in captivity. The reaction of these parents at the news of the demise of their children is heart-wrenching. This prayer session is in honor of those students that died. The atmosphere is a solemn one. This man recalled the agony he felt upon realizing his daughter was not part of those freed.
I was troubled when other girls were seen on arrival, but my daughter Aisha was said to have died along with 4 others. All the same, I thank Almighty Allah for this and prayed for the repose of their souls.
His sadness turns to irritation and events against the federal government over the manner the insurgents freely made their way in and out of Dapchi.
The surprising thing is that Boko Haram abducted these girls and still returned them in broad daylight and went back freely. All of these things troubled our imagination.
This woman's daughter was not released, allegedly because she refused to renounce her religion for that of the terrorists. She has resigned her faith and belief that no harm will befall her child.
The released girls told us that the insurgents insisted she must denounce her religion, but she told them that she has no knowledge of Islam and cannot be a Muslim. We were told that she left with 3 other Boko Haram female members elsewhere, but sent a message that we should pray for God's will to be done in her life.
The excitement has simmered and things appear to be gradually returning to normal. But the people of Dapchi have shared an experience which has left them feeling both relief and sorrow at the same time.
Meanwhile, the president has given the assurance that the Dapchi schoolgirl Leah Shiraibu, still in Boko Haram captivity, will be freed. In a statement by his aide on media and publicity, Garba Shehu, President Muhammadu Buhari explains that he is as committed to the freedom of the remaining girls as when all 110 of them were with the terrorists. While promising that Ms. Shiraibu will not be abandoned, the statement adds, quote, President Buhari is fully conscious of his duty under the Constitution to protect all Nigerians, irrespective of faith, ethnic background or geopolitical location, and will not shirk in this responsibility. The President is equally mindful of the fact that true followers of Islam all over the world respect the injunction that there is no compulsion in religion. To this effect, no one or group can impose its religion on another. End of quote. The President commiserates with parents of the dead students and the ones still away, promising to ensure that she is released. And the President has also promised to address the security situation in Zamfara State before the beginning of the rainy season. He made the promise today when he paid a condolence visit to those affected by the recent crisis between farmers and herdsmen in Gusau, the Zamfara State capital. Our correspondent Gloria Umezuke reports.
In continuation of the President's visit to 5 troubled states, which have been the target of vicious attacks by herdsmen and bandits, President Muhammadu Buhari arrived amidst cheers to Zamfara State to condole with the people with the recent attacks that destroyed hundreds of lives and property. The President went into a town hall meeting with stakeholders as well as traditional rulers. He spoke of a massive redeployment of police officers to tackle the security challenge.
In every town, there is at least a police station. They were not given the uniform and the rifle just to impress anybody, but they are supposed to be sending intelligence and warning that something was about to happen. But I would like you to notice and make sure that there will be improvement before the rainy season.
Although the President expressed concerns over the huge unemployment among the youths, he assured the state of his support, vowing not to lose focus in his quest to restore order and accountability.
If you are a governor and you have 20 houses in Abuja, 5 in Kano or somewhere, or Maiduguri and so on, how did you come about it? I am now constrained to go as slow as Agoda people were supposed to go by the system. I can no longer be in a hurry, but I assure you that I will never lose focus.
The host governor, Abdulaziz Yari, bemoaned the lack of equipment by security agencies in the state.
We have observed the need for the federal government to impose and equip the various security agencies with modern equipment that will enable them to respond to the security challenges more promptly and effectively.
The President leaves with a promise, amongst several others, to refund the 56 billion naira spent by the state to rehabilitate federal roads, as it would assist the state in the fight against banditry. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
The federal government today vowed to harness the creativity of young Nigerians to address the country's economic problems. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, gave this assurance at the expanded National Executive Council meeting with Nigeria's development partners. He also restates the federal government's determination to use the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan in addressing the challenges of food, security, health, education and infrastructure.
Members of the National Executive Council began an expanded session with some key development partners to deliberate on how human capital development can be used to address the problems of health, education, and financial exclusion.
I will be calling on the Honorable Minister of Health.
The expanded session begins with the Health Minister sending a distress call for urgent intervention to rescue the ailing health sector.
One of the major reasons why the health sector has under-delivered has to do with the level of funding of the health sector. When compared to many other countries, we have persistently over the years underfunded the health sector. And because of this chronic underfunding, the health sector has underperformed. So investing in health is a win-win for everybody.
With a strong appeal for increased investment in health, the next agenda is a case for the education sector. The Minister of Education insists that increased budgetary allocation to schools holds the key to Nigeria's economic future.
Education is today recognized as the major currency by which nations maintain economic prosperity. Therefore, this nation must make conscious effort to multiply what we allocate to education every year.
While pledging the support of the country's economy and growing population, Nigeria's development partners prescribe a practical agenda to chart the way forward.
We're eager to support you as you work to make Nigeria a global economic powerhouse that provides opportunity for all its citizens. The most important choice you can make is to maximize your greatest resource, the Nigerian people. Nigeria will thrive when every Nigerian is able to thrive. If you invest in their health, education, and opportunities, the human capital that we're talking about today, then that will lay the foundation for sustained prosperity.
In Nigeria, we have largely achieved growth by extracting natural resources and are now building on that through our physical infrastructure. But we must also remember that it is our young people that will drive our future success.
The Vice President, in his address, offers assurances of the federal government's determination to address Nigeria's economic challenges with the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan.
This social investment program, which is a key component of our Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, is possibly the most ambitious in Nigeria's history. It aims to ensure ultimately that no one is left behind and that Nigeria's wealth is more equitably distributed to its vulnerable populations, the young and old, male and female, regardless of where in the country they live or what language they speak.
The action plan is set. The next move will be to walk the talk with the financial inclusion plans, especially in the areas of health and education.
Designed to assist.
And the expanded National Executive Council meeting then entered into a closed-door session, after which the president of Dangote Group of Companies, Aliko Dangote, spoke with State House correspondents. He wants private companies to donate 1% of their annual profits to fund the health sector in the country, as he believes that this would help them raise money to fund the sector. His position was supported by Governor Nasir El-Rufai of Kaduna State, who explains that the success of the Education Tax Fund indicates that the proposal can also work for the health sector.
We are suggesting is also to make sure that we fund our health sector very well, is to see that maybe the private sector should try and be given 1% of their annual profits, so that will actually help in generating quite a lot of money. Because since the rebasing of the economy, we are going to get out of most of these donations that we are getting from Gavi, World Bank, and the rest of the donors, making Nigeria a rich country, not a poor country anymore. So I think we have to also do our own bit to make sure that yes, we have a very vibrant population.
Companies pay a fraction of their profits as education tax, which goes directly to the education tax fund, which is used largely now to fund tertiary education. What Alhaji Dangote has proposed for the consideration of the government is to have a similar health fund in which corporations will be required to pay a percentage of their profits that will go into a national health fund that can be managed jointly with private sector participation to ensure that primary health care receives appropriate funding for commodities, for equipment, for human resources.